Hello, mysterious person behind the screen, and welcome back to another Doctor Who audio commentary with me and Isaac.
Hello.
And this time, continuing our first and favourite series, we're doing, Isaac, your first Doctor Who story, The Rise of the Cybermen and the Age of Steel, from Series 2 of Doctor Who from 2006.
We certainly are, yes.
Yes, so, without further ado...
If you'd like to sync this up with the Blu-ray copy of Rise of the Cybermen and the Age of Steel, go to play all on the disc menu and press play in 3, 2, 1, go.
Yeah, so we should say we're using the current Blu-rays for this, so there will be slowed down slightly. So if you're watching this on DVD with us, you might be slightly behind, but it shouldn't matter too much.
Yeah, well, you say current Blu-ray because the news has come out that series 1 to 4 are getting a new remaster.
Yes, that's sort of why I prefaced it, because if you're watching this in the future with the new Blu-ray, that might not have the speed issue. So I thought I'd preface that just before we begin properly. But yeah, I'm definitely keen to see what that looks like when it comes out. I've not pre-ordered it yet, because if it is the same as these, then yeah.
Yeah, because I thought, I've worked so hard to get all these steel books.
Yes, yeah. I'm waiting for reviews. If the reviews come out and like all of the issues with the steel books have been fixed, like the speed and everything, then I'll grab it. But I'm not pre-ordering yet.
Yeah, I might keep them as they are because
yeah,
the artwork's great. They're thin and small, so they're easy to use.
So this was your first story then? Like, what are your first earliest memories of this and Doctor Who in general?
I remember it very well. I was 8 years old at the time. I was staying over at my great auntie's house, and it just came on the telly. And by the end, because of the cliffhanger when they were all surrounded by Cybermen, I thought, I've got to watch this next week, which I did, and here we are. And but I can remember seeing promotional trailers for Series 2. I can remember the Tooth and Claw trailer, and I thought, that's got a werewolf in it. That looks cool. But I ended up missing that story. So luckily, a couple of weeks later, I caught this one.
Interesting. To be honest, it's a pretty good first one. I'd say it's definitely got like enough kind of peril and kind of fear factor
Certainly is,
to it.
yeah. Funnily enough, at the time, it was delayed by about 20 minutes because of the football.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the football apparently overran, so this was, they said a little bit later, but it came out the same year as, the 40th anniversary for the Cybermen, so it was pretty,
yeah, they knew
fitting.
Yeah, they knew what they were doing by introducing them at this time in the new series. 40th anniversary of the Cybermen, and also just you reintroduced the Daleks in the first series. What's the second most iconic monster? The Cybermen. It makes sense to do them next. So
definitely, yeah.
This is an early story for me as well. It wasn't my first. That's next time, but. This is, I want to say maybe third or fourth story I watched, so it's very early for me too. I've got a lot of nostalgia for this. It's definitely the second two-parter I watched after my first story, because I had the DVD volume with this as kind of the centerpiece of that release. So
I remember those volumes. That's how I built up my collection before I got the steel books. It wasn't until Series 5 where I decided, okay, I'm getting the box sets from now on.
Yes, same. I mean, I went through right until Series 8, maybe, before I thought I'll get the box sets, because Series 7 was when they released the volumes, but they released them like Series 7 Part 1 and Part 2.
I think Series 6 started it, yeah.
That's right, Series 6 did that too. But from Series 8, I was like, okay, I'm going to get the Blu-rays now, and that means getting the box sets, so. But yeah, those volumes were great. They were, really, they're probably the most authentic way to view the episodes as broadcast, because they've got the they don't have 5.1 mixes on them. They've got stereo mixes, which is what was broadcast. So really, they're pretty authentic. But yeah, I have a lot of nostalgia for those releases. I really like all this stuff in the TARDIS early on. By the way, like the way it's lit.
Yes, I know. Yeah, we've got the TARDIS falling to a parallel world. Yeah, RTD. Basically, this and obviously the finale all stemmed from Billie Piper deciding, she wasn't going to do a third year of Doctor Who, and because RTD said, well, Rose is never going to leave the Doctor willingly. She'll never say, oh, I'm bored of this, I'll go off and do something else. He decided to set up the parallel world scenario early so they'd forcibly be separated.
Yeah.
He didn't want to kill him because he felt that was too pessimistic for the series.
Yeah, and that's sort of, not to go off on too much of a tangent, but...
I'll just have her say in narration, this is how I died.
Yes.
Oh, that's not true, is it?
Yeah, exactly. To be honest, that does, because people are debating at the moment whether or not Donna will die in the 60th. And I just keep thinking back to that quote from Russell, where I think he said before, it's like, killing a character off as well, he thinks it's almost too easy to create drama. So I don't know if he'll do that. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Interesting costume variation for the Doctor in this as well. He's got like a beige shirt on, which is you don't see it very often.
Yeah. Yeah, speaking of the Doctor, as much as Series 2 got me into the series, I'm not a big fan of the 10th Doctor and Rose in this. Quite a lot. In stories like Tooth and Claw, Idiot's Lantern, Fear Her, they just come across as really smug and irritating, in my opinion. And I've probably just got you a load of dislikes on this video.
To be fair, I think it's a pretty common opinion, actually. I
just don't think, David. We've discussed before, like, which season, is the best for each Doctor, and I do think this is probably the 10th Doctor's worst in terms of his character, because I'm just not a big fan of the happy-go-lucky 10th Doctor that we get. But in retrospect, it does work, because by the time we get to, say, Waters of Mars, it's the 10th Doctor who's lost everything and is at his breaking point.
Yeah.
So the fact that they set up that he's the happy-go-lucky Doctor who slowly but surely loses everything is commendable, but he's still quite annoying.
Yeah, I agree that this is his weakest year. I think... Yeah, it's a very generic characterization. He's basically playing Rose's space boyfriend throughout this entire year, which is fine.
It, yeah.
And it works all right, and it's fine. I kind of like the idea that this Doctor is designed for Rose, because in The Empty Child, Rose is, can you be more Spock? She's sort of essentially, without saying it, can you be a bit cooler? And then suddenly, like, the new Doctor is speaking in her accent, and he's got really spiked hair, and he's a bit more kind of fast and gadgety, and so it's designed for her, essentially. And I kind of like the idea that he's so dependent on her that when they get separated, he does turn into a really vain prick. And I kind of like that idea, because it's almost like he doesn't know how to actually function without the person he was essentially designed for, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, I agree that this is his weakest series, definitely.
Yeah.
Although I think this is probably one of the better stories for him in this year. He's a lot more kind of confident.
Definitely, yeah. As I said earlier, it's stories like Tooth and Claw, Idiot's Lantern, Fear Her. He's a bit too irritating for my tastes.
Yeah. I've got to say though, watching this on the marathon, I really actually liked Series 2 a lot more than I thought I would, and a lot more than I remembered. Because it always...
Me too, yeah.
I've always liked it, but it's always been, very clearly, yes, that's the weakest of the 4 RTD series, and I still think it is, but it's not... Watching it again this year, I definitely... I find myself really, really enjoying it despite the few duds that are in there, and it definitely swings hard, and that doesn't always result in a win, but it's a really solid run, I think. A lot better than
I wonder if in
remembered.
the writing process this was quite quick, because when they made Series 1, Series 2 wasn't a guarantee, it was just a let's keep our fingers crossed.
That's it, yeah.
So I wonder, because obviously the BBC said, I think the day after Rose aired, they said, okay, you can have a Series 2, so maybe they were very quick to assemble a Series 2 together in the script department, but I'm not 100% sure.
Didn't they commission a third one as well at the same time? Wasn't it like a double recommission, or am I getting that wrong?
Possibly, yeah. I think so.
I've got it in my head. I think, yeah.
Yeah, Series 2, I do wonder, when it came to writing for the Doctor, I wonder if there were any scripts written for Christopher Eccleston still in mind.
Yeah, I have to wonder this too, because he announced his exit very early on, and obviously the production team would have known. I assume they would have known that he was going before Rose even aired, considering that he announced it days after it aired. So they would have known. So I don't think so, but it wouldn't surprise me if we got... So like Series 11, for example, was kind of written before the gender change, and it was just written for a generic Doctor character. I kind of think that was probably a similar situation here. They probably just wrote it for a Doctor, not really knowing who that Doctor was going to be, but... I like the reference to the invasion on the lorry.
It's international electromagnetic.
Very cool. I like that a lot.
One detail I like, when the TARDIS has been destroyed, I think there's 6 gas masks, because I think the Doctor mentions it's in Journey's End. He says it takes 6 people to fly the TARDIS.
Oh yeah, that's a good shout actually.
Which is funny, because when you ever see the Master or the Rani piloting their TARDIS, they seem to do it fine without all the shaking about. So I'm just going to assume the Doctor's a bad driver.
You would assume so, yeah.
This stuff is great. The world building of Cybus Industries, the fact that there's a scene where people stop in the street and like all the daily information is downloaded into their heads within a minute. So
yeah,
that's pretty scary. The fact that they just stop, they become mindless zombies for a minute, and then a minute later they know everything.
Yeah, it's. Do you know? I do defend this new origin of the Cybermen quite a bit, because I know it gets a lot of stick from purists, but I've never minded it because it's a parallel universe thing, and also I think it's a very clever update for the modern era. Well, modern as of 2006, which is, you know, nearly 20 years ago now. But it's
because
yeah.
It was something I had as well growing up. I thought it's a shame because you don't get that Doctor Cyberman dynamic that you got, say, in Dalek, where the Dalek is clearly aware of who the Doctor is, because here the Cybermen haven't got a clue, and it spills over into Doomsday as well. But funnily enough, by the next Doctor, which I'm going to assume they're the Peterswood Cybermen still, seem to know who he is.
And it kind of builds up. I mean, this is the thing, because I've never had a problem with the new series Cybermen in concept, because they're kind of meant to be a bit different because it's a parallel universe. So I don't mind that, like, that universe Cybermen becomes the main one for the modern series. I do sort of question when you get to closing time and they're just the exact same minus the Cybus Industries logo, implying that they're from our world.
There's apparently an explanation for this. I don't know if it was Stephen Moffat who provided this, or Neil Gaiman of all people.
Right.
In the next Doctor, when he sends the Cyber King into the time vortex, apparently they merged with the Mondasian Cybermen. So now the Mondasian Cybermen look like the Peterswood Cybermen.
Okay. Fair enough. I mean,
I buy it.
Yeah, I can buy that, like, that design kind of got mixed with the with our universe of Cybermen, and that was just the next evolution for them. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, fuck it.
I'll say this, as a reimagining of the Cybermen, this works way better than Nightmare in Silver.
Oh god, yeah. Oh, 100%. 100%. I think, like I said, I think this is a smart update. I think it's you know, the earpod thing in the 2000s, Bluetooth earpieces, they were everywhere. So seeing like these guys have essentially earpieces, you know, earpods, but it's clever. It's tapping into the popular consciousness at the time.
And there was a cutscene where Mr. Crane sees Jake, who's filming it all, saying, "Who are you going to show that to? Newspapers? The telly?"
Oh yeah, I've seen that. Yeah,
we own them as well. Yeah, it's a reference to the invasion, where International Electromatics is the #1 company selling electronics to everyone around the world.
Yeah. Also, the number on the number plate of the lorry is 66, and Tenth Planet came out in 66, so he's cool.
Mm-hmm.
It is mad though, looking at like the old phones.
Celebrating her 40th birthday.
Yes, 39th.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's mad though, looking at like the old phones that like Rose is using and stuff. It's yeah, it's just mad thinking that like this period of Doctor Who is like 18.
I mean, I've just finished Series 8 of the revival, and Clara was using like a BlackBerry phone. I thought, oh god, I had one of those at the time.
Yeah, Blackberries, they're mad. They're everywhere. And it's mad now, I think, because obviously Twitter is not called Twitter anymore, it's called X. But thinking of stuff like The Power of Three, where it, you know, that explicitly references Twitter and the Bells of St. John and stuff, it's like, Jesus, how, you know, if X sticks around as the name, how dated is that going to be in like 5 years?
To be honest, X does sound like Cybers Industries making a social media platform.
It really does. It's awful. Well, did you see that a while ago? I think it's stopped now, but there was a period of a couple of months on Twitter where there was an account, and it was based around like a Cybers Industries kind of thing, and nobody could figure out whether it was real or not, like a promotion from the BBC, or whether it was just a fan thing. And I think it was just a fan thing, but it was putting out like real world headlines, but giving them a Cyberman twist, and it was really realistic and clever, and it's kind of hard to explain unless you see the post, but yeah, the Cybermen are definitely still relevant.
Yep.
I really like how this is all shot. Yeah.
And this TARDIS team did not last long at all, the Dr. Rose and Mickey.
No, it really didn't.
Like how Mickey does accept he's never going to be a proper member of the team, he'll just be the spare part, because he said earlier, oh, so it's just Rose who's going to be tempted by this world, there's nothing for me. And he's like, well, I don't know, I can't keep track of everyone, can I?
Yeah, it's they set that up really well, and again, that was one of the things about Series 2 that I was like, actually, this is better than I remember. That is more of a prevalent thing than I remembered it being, and it seeded quite well throughout this, his departure.
Mm-hmm.
But I do like how, with the exception of Series 3, Series 1 to 5, they all kind of switched up the dynamic midway through the series. So, like, Series 1,
they did, yeah.
You get the addition of Adam and then later Captain Jack. Obviously, you get the addition of Mickey. Series 4, you get Martha coming in for a few episodes. And Series 5, you get Rory coming in for a few episodes and then going. And I really liked that formula. Series 3 doesn't really do it. I guess maybe Jack in the finale, but that's the finale.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it'd be cool. I like that idea of just flipping keeping you on your toes and not really being able to predict exactly what's going to happen next, kind of thing.
This two-parter and the finale, Army of Ghosts and Doomsday, was all shot in the same block because it uses the same actors.
Nice, makes sense.
Yeah, and at the time they hadn't filmed 4 episodes in one big block yet. So I think it's why they got veteran director Graham Harper to do it.
And it pays off because he's a brilliant director.
It certainly does, yeah. And to this day, he's the only director to work on the classic series and the new series.
Yeah. It is really mad to think, though, that this... Because I think this series feels very confident, but it's mad to think this was a show only in its second year, in terms of, like... And the first year was a success, but you lost your lead actor, and there things did go wrong on the production of that series, as we know now. So it's pretty commendable how confident and ambitious this run is. Like it definitely goes for it.
I find it a shame Graham Harper didn't stick around after RTD left.
Yeah, I agree.
I wonder why he didn't carry on into the Moffat era. Quite a few directors did, but I know him and Ross Lynn didn't stick around, but they wanted to do other things.
Yeah, which is fair. I mean, if you're gonna jump ship at any point, I guess it would be that, because it was such a kind of soft reboot. But yeah.
I know Graham Harper, the following year after he finished Waters of Mars, I directed Coronation Street's 50th anniversary.
Oh, very good.
Which was broadcast live, as I understand.
Yeah, it's always fun when like soaps and stuff are broadcast live, because often there are fuck ups, and it's just always fun to watch. Now, like the street scenes in this, like with the crowds of people, I can vividly remember, like, this might have been like my introduction to really the first time I was like fascinated by filmmaking, because there's that one shot that kind of, it's not a crane shot, but it's very high up and it's kind of pushing down. And as a kid, I was fascinated by like that there are different angles to it, and the kind of process of how filming works. And it just goes to show the little things can just kind of spur on these things in like a kid's brain. Because it was just the idea of like filming a street and getting it from different angles. Just as a kid, I was trying to figure out how that would be done and stuff. So yeah, it's the little things, and yeah, so that always sticks in my mind.
I know this story does credit Mark Platt, saying with thanks to him, but now aside from giving an origin to the Cybermen, there's not really that much similarities between this and Spare Parts.
Yeah, I was going to say there's not... I think the original script was a lot more heavily inspired by it, and then it was rewritten and then kind of polished up a bit. But yeah, it's there's not a huge amount of similarities. It's kind of... It's not as obvious as Jubilee was with Dalek, but...
I know Russell T Davies said Holy Terror and Spare Parts, they're the crowning achievements of Big Finish. If you're going to listen to any stories, listen to those two.
Yeah.
You look closely in the reflection of her glasses, you can actually see through.
I was going to say, I noticed this when I watched it the other month, and I can never unsee it now, because it's not just the one person. You can see the camera, you can see the boom op, you can see the lights. It's so obvious, and I don't know how they didn't catch it at the time, because it's really it's blatant, and once you see it, you can't unsee it.
I think it's a bit more obvious because it's been given a HD transfer.
Yeah. I really the woman who plays the Nan, though, she's always kind of, the way she delivers some of the lines, it's always stuck in my mind. Like it's Ricky. It's just she's a very distinct character. And if we're talking about distinct performances, I know he's not on screen at the minute, but oh my god, Roger Lloyd Pack in this, hamming it up.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's maybe the closest the new series has gotten to like a David Collins in or like Soldeed in Horns of Nimon, or in terms of just a ridiculous performance.
Yeah, because I just see him as Trigger from Only Fools and Horses.
That's it. That's the thing. And I think he's clearly looked at this and gone, okay, I'm a villain. I'm going to ham it up. And my God, like earlier on at the start, he was like, how will you do this from beyond the grave? Like,
Oh yeah, definitely.
it's so over the top, and I'm surprised that the director didn't go, can we tone this down a bit? Because it is so cartoony, but he's entertaining.
Yeah.
But he's like that in Goblet of Fire as well. He's
Yeah.
a Chinese firebolt. Ooh, like he's very over the top, and it's quite funny.
God, I just realised both David Tennant and Roger Lloyd Pack were in Goblet of Fire.
Playing father and son.
Yeah, they were, yeah.
Which was the year before this as well, so.
hmm Andrew Hayden Smith was a CBBC presenter.
He was, yeah. Again, it's a smart little bit of casting, because he would have been on, like... You know, he was on Totally Doctor Who around this time, and, yeah.
hmm
I like the idea of, like, establishing that it's a parallel world, but by having, like, instead of the UK Prime Minister, it's the President of Britain, and little
Yeah.
things like that. It's quite cool.
hmm
I almost wish they could have gone further with it, but you don't kind of want to take away from the Cybers Industries thing, do you?
Yeah, they should have all been wearing eye patches.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just looking at like production notes on the making of, and yeah, the original script was closer to Spare Parts,
Yeah.
and would have been about humanity wanting to upgrade because of a plague. However, RTD thought this was a bit too outdated, just replacing body parts. I mean, if he thought the plague was outdated, that's a bit ironic.
I was going to say, Jesus.
But yeah, it was RTD's idea to have the upgrade of a human brain into a metal suit. Yeah.
and I get where he's coming from with that, because it makes, yeah, like I say, it makes sense to do a modern update with the kind of brain thing and the ear pods and stuff. I think, the original concept replacing body parts, it still works very well. It's still very relevant, but it's cool to, yeah, it's a different kind of take.
Oh, here's a fun fact. Another member of the Preachers was going to be a character called Esme, was a former Green Beret, and this character survived to the audition stage, and the actress who auditioned for the part was Freema Agyeman.
Oh, really? Oh, I had no idea about that. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So maybe that's how she got Adiola in Army of Ghosts. Maybe they saved her for that.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me.
I do wonder if she was aware when she played Adiola that she'd be back as the companion.
Yeah. I mean, it must have been a fairly... I don't know how it would have worked. I don't know what the turnaround would have been like. But of course, Don Warrington as the president, it was Rassilon in Big Finish briefly, in a couple of
really?
a couple of Big Finish plays. And here we've got somebody from Revelation of the Daleks, Colin Spall.
I think he and Graham Harper were at drama school together, so he'll often pop up in Graham Harper's stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was pretty lucky. He got the Daleks and the Cybermen.
Yeah, definitely. And Trevor Cooper, who is his kind of can't remember the character's name, but he's the kind of the second in the double act in Revelation of the Daleks. He's in Robot of Sherwood as Friar Tuck.
Oh, I watched Robot of S.H.I.E.L.D. a few days ago. How did I not notice him?
Yeah. He looks very different now, but if anyone's a fan of the sitcom This Country, he's in that as well. But yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of the Lion Sleeps Tonight thing?
It's wonderful black comedy, I think.
It really is. It's quite...
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it is pretty horrific. You've got men screaming that they're being converted, and they're just like, "Oh, give us track number 10 or something like that. Let's cover up that noise."
It's quite... The CGI is very dated on it, and it doesn't hold up, but I do like the knives and the snip and the buzzsaw and stuff like that. As an idea is really freaky because you don't see it, you can kind of imagine it, and as a kid it's more horrific to imagine like the buzzsaw cutting the flesh and stuff. It's really a freaky concept, despite the kind of CGI not really holding up. This is quite fun as well, like the Doctor and Rose trying to sneak into the party, and I wonder where that house actually is.
I do wonder.
Somewhere in Wales, probably.
Oh yeah. Tenth Doctor rocking the 11th Doctor look.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, even more so in Series 3 with Human Nature.
Oh yeah, the tweed jacket.
Really, yeah. Tweed jacket and a bow tie. It's very 11. This is pretty cool though. Like you don't often see this in this era, but it's handheld. Like the way they're shooting this is quite kind of it's kind of rough and gritty. It's almost like documentary-esque. It's pretty cool actually.
It is, yeah. I think I don't know if it was Peter Davison or Colin Baker. They said one thing I remember about Graham Harper, he was the only director who ever worked on the floor. He was never up in the gallery. Yeah. He wanted to be down on the studio floor directing everything.
It's really mad. Like Caves of Androzani as a piece of TV, like, is incredible. With like, you think of what he was working with at the time and the rest of the stories surrounding it, and it is just kind of insane that he managed to get that level of direction and quality out of that period. It's nice as well at this point because we'd only seen Sean Dingwall the once before, and it's cool to see him here, but he's playing a different character. He's playing the same character, but a completely different persona.
Yeah, he's playing the character that the original Pete Tyler wanted to be, the successful businessman.
Exactly.
Who had all those mad ideas that won great fame and fortune.
Yeah. And he plays it really well. So he plays the difference between it.
And I love the joke of Rose being the dog.
Oh, it's so funny.
Really funny.
It's the Doctor's face when he looks at her. It's so good. It's a brilliant bit of comedic timing from David Tennant. It's just like the way he starts laughing is so good.
Mm-hmm. I know one criticism the Pete's World Cybermen have is that people would say with the old Cybermen they were scarier because they didn't make a noise every time they moved.
Yeah, I don't mind the stomping when they're together. It's kind of when it's when there's like one going down the stairs later on, and it's just and it's just a bit like, come on. But again, it's quite sinister that if you submit yourself to the process, you lose completely all of your individuality because you just become this autonomous, marching, metal soldier, indistinguishable from the others, and that they play into that later with when they can't find the Jackie Cyberman, and it just blends into all of the others. So it's quite well done. That the fact that you lose all of your individuality is I really like that aspect of it. Also, the effect of the two Mickeys is it's pretty well done for this time. It's not bad.
It's pretty seamless, yeah. I never would have.
Yeah.
Thought they'd have got a lookalike to play Mickey, but no, it is really good.
It's really good. It helps that he's sitting down as well. Like, Mickey is sitting down, so it means he's not like moving around. So he's kind of locked off, which kind of helps with the illusion as well. I mean, if you really, really look close, you can see that he's on a green screen, but it's not obvious at all. It's very well done. Although 2 Noel Clarks, scarcely bears thinking about.
Yep.
It's fun.
Originally, I was just going to say, the original script was closer to Spare Parts. The parallel world was going to be a dying world, like Mondas was.
Yeah.
But here it's kind of the other way around. Like, it's thriving, but it's monotonous, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, everyone's upgraded to having earpods. If you're not an upgrade, you don't belong in society. You're one of the preachers. Everyone's got the fanciest technology and things like that. So, yeah, here it's the opposite. And originally, Jacob Lumick was the original villain. He was a young businessman who wanted to save his dying father from a terminally ill disease. And this was then changed for Lumick to be the ill businessman, and the son role was taken over by Mr. Crane.
That's quite fair. I do think it gives the main villain a bit more agency if he's acting for himself rather than someone else, but yeah. It's a fun idea as well to have the Mickey's doppelganger be called Ricky, because the running joke in series 1 was that the Doctor kept calling him Ricky, and that's that's a nice idea.
Yeah, Roger Lloyd Pack said he wanted to play John Lumick in the manner of Donald Rumsfeld, who was the United States Secretary of Defense and one of the chief architects of the Iraq War.
Oh, okay.
That's who he based his performance on.
Interesting.
I mean, yeah, the first two-parter in Series 1, the Slovene two-parter, that was clearly based on the Iraq War.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's quite something though to watch this now, and it is dated. Like the just the way it looks is very 2006. It's absolutely a product of its time. Like I'm on Series 8 at the moment, and watching that it's such a stark contrast to this, and it's mad really. This is it's aging. It's getting old.
Yeah, I mean, I've just finished Series 8, so I can't believe I've overtook you.
No, I can't, because I started 3 years ago. So, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been fairly good with it. Like, I've tried to, watch... I've definitely speeded up now that I've got to the revival. So I've tried to watch, 2 or 3 episodes in one day, as much as my schedule can allow it.
Yeah, since sort of since Tom Baker in general, I have sped up quite a bit. It was the first three Doctors, not for any particular reason. I was just taking it very slowly, and during the missing episodes, I was quite, because it was just finding the motivation to, as good as some of those stories are, it's not always the easiest thing to sit and watch 25 minutes of still images.
Some stories like Dalek's Master Plan, The Invasion, The War Games, and even the season 7 parters I had to watch over 2 nights.
Yeah. And to be honest, I've quite enjoyed taking my time, because it has felt like a journey. It's the first time I've ever done a marathon, like, from everything from the start. So it has felt like a real journey.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm definitely speeding up now because I want to get it done for November.
Yeah, I'm hoping with the way I'm going, I can do it before my next tour starts.
Oh yeah, I think you'll probably get there, to be honest. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is awful. I've got to say, like, the Tyler family and just seeing them interact is a real highlight. Any time that kind of these three actors, any combination of them, get to have a scene together, it's always a real highlight of any given episode, because they're so believable as a real family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I find it funny that Rose got sent to a parallel world, but she got a new version of her dad, and then later a new version of the Doctor.
Yeah.
Clara
had it all right.
Clara gets her own TARDIS, and the entire fandom goes insane.
Yeah. I'm very curious to see how I'll react to all that now when I get, because Series 8, I'm 3 episodes in and I'm enjoying it so far, but it was around about this time that I started to really dislike the character of Clara. So pretty much from Listen onwards, and that's the next one I've got to watch. So I'm really curious to see how my opinions change.
I feel Series 8 was the best version of Clara, in my opinion. Series 9, I mean, I will be starting it soon. My memory of it was that she was just there, which, from what I've heard, Series 9 was conceived as having no companion. But they had to change it when Jenna Coleman changed her mind.
That's it, she kind of messed it up,
I don't know if it's 100% true, but just thinking back, there's times where they are separate. The Doctor and Clara are separated a lot.
Yeah.
So.
Plus, in Last Christmas, like, they have that whole thing with her as an old woman, and that parallel with when the Doctor was old in Time of the Doctor. So I can believe it.
Yep.
But yeah, I hope my opinion changes on Series 8 and 9, because I want to like them. And I always have wanted to like them, and it's been 8. I haven't watched any of them since broadcast, so. I'm very curious to see if my opinion changes, and I hope so. But yeah, I really like this entrance for the Cybermen smashing through the windows. I mean, they instantly make an impression on you, I think.
They definitely do, yeah.
Whether you like the design or not, like that face coming through the window, it's a great entrance for them.
Mm-hmm. It's like they took the classic elements like the handlebars, the teardrop eyes, put them all together, and I do love that they've got a C on their chest.
Yeah.
The Doctor even says they've been turned into a brand, which is essentially what they are.
Yeah, and again, people hate that, but like, I really like the Cybermen as a brand. It's really in keeping with like ideas similar to what the ideas that when they were conceived, by Kit Pedler and Jerry Davis. Like, it's comment on society's obsession with constantly upgrading themselves, and yeah, it's cool. I like these guys, and I think they're probably at their best here and in Doomsday, to be honest, because they feel like I love the bits in Doomsday where they're breaking into that family's house, and like there's one up the stairs and stuff. Like, they feel very sinister.
I've said Army of Ghosts sets up the perfect Cyberman story. Then Doomsday gets what's essentially an Etch-a-Sketch and goes, nah, let's have the Daleks in it.
Essentially, yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Sati is he's comically biased towards the
I know,
Daleks.
yeah. They just get massacred.
Like, I remember Battles in Time, the trading card magazine. They did a special called the Daleks versus Cyberman special, and every other issue you had the Dalek Wars section,
Yeah.
which would show you like Daleks fighting, humans or creatures. Once they even fought giant spiders,
Right, yeah.
and some of the panels were actually based on Classic Doctor Who episodes. I just hadn't realised it.
Right.
But it's annoyed me now because their first one was referencing the Dalek invasion of Earth, but they were bronze Daleks invading Earth, not the 60s Daleks.
Oh.
They did one for from the point of view of the Cybermen called Cyber Wars, and it did show a Cyberman like ripping off the head of a Dalek, which I thought was really cool. Yeah. In fact, here's how the fight in Doomsday should have gone. Cybermen destroyed the other three members of the Cult of Skaro, leaving Dalek Sect the last one left. The Cybermen think they're about to win, and then the Daleks play their ace card, which is the Genesis Arc.
That would have been really cool, actually.
See, it makes it fair.
Yeah, no, that would have been cool.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so this bit here, they're running. They run from like one side of the frame to the other, and then stop because there's a load of Cybermen. They would have seen all of those Cybermen before they started running. So were you running towards them and then are shocked that they're getting closer? It's not like they're around the corner; they're just marching towards you.
Yep.
But I think it really helps actually these Cybermen when they're shot well. Like that bit in the house just then, the shadow is very harsh on them. Like, very harsh shadows. They're in the darkness. They're kind of an oncoming threat.
This was
really
shot
helps.
in like November 2005,
Right.
and it, even though the cast probably were freezing, it does help a lot.
Oh, it really does. And like the silhouettes of them marching through the darkness is it's striking and it's effective. What do you think of like Delete, like all that?
When I discovered the classic series that they didn't have a catchphrase, I just thought, because they do it with the Sontarans as well, they give them Sontar Ha, and I'm just like, not every villain needs to be like the Daleks so you can give them a catchphrase, but I don't mind it.
I don't mind it because I just think, well, when I was a kid, I mean, it worked because kids around the playground were going Delete and all this, and it's kind of like I had to put myself in the minds of kids, like, it works. Like creating a catchphrase did. You know how many kids got like the Cyberman voice changer mask that year?
I had that
exactly, and same. And you know how many kids were going around doing delete. You know it's like it or not, it worked. It's a good cliffhanger as well. I like that cliffhanger. It's pretty.
And also,
classic.
there's no next time trailer, not even at the very end.
No, there isn't. I don't know why.
Because the thing is, when it comes to cliffhangers, there are some next time trailers that are quite clever, where they tease the audience but they don't spoil it. For example, the Sound of Drums next time trailer is really clever in my opinion because it just shows the Master. It doesn't show the regulars at all.
Yeah, that's really good. Because that's the one where it's like, like, that's a great trailer. Yeah,
it tricks you into thinking you're just only going to see the Master and not the regulars next week.
It's brilliant. It's really, really good. Yeah. The Doomsday one is, Army of Ghosts. It's so nearly there, but they ruin it because there's that one shot where you see the extermination Dalek effect. And it's like, you were so nearly there.
Well, it got spoiled at was it the BAFTAs?
Oh, when they brought out the Dalek Sec by accident.
Yeah. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but apparently, Russell did say, "Oh, for fuck's sake, it's the black one."
Yeah. Oh Christ, the audio on these Blu-rays. So I've got the episode turned quite down, like just for the purpose of this commentary. But fuck me, the breaking glass is so loud still. Like it's still like,
yeah.
Like the mixing on these Blu-rays is mad.
I'll say this. I mean, it's not the fault of the Blu-ray, but in here the Cybermen electrocute people by touching them, but by Doomsday they've got the arm guns.
Yeah.
I'll say this: the sound design for those guns was just awful. It's like they couldn't decide on a consistent
It's not
sound
consistent,
effect.
is it? Yeah, it doesn't. It's sometimes it's sort of like boom, 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 and then it just varies, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Also, the Cyberman figures that I have from Series 2, all of them have that gun. I don't know if they ever did one without the gun arm.
I had one that didn't have a gun on
Oh,
it.
you did? Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and I had a cyber controller as well. Yeah.
No, that Cyber Controller was a great figure. I never had it, but I always wanted it, and I do need to track it down because that is a cool figure.
There were some rare figures that tied into this story. There was a cyber controller on his throne, as you have him, with two generic Cybermen as guards. And you had also the Cyberman helicopter, because they totally fly helicopters in this story. My guess for that figure was, because obviously you've got the Zeppelins in this, so maybe someone got confused.
It's probably the case. Resolution to the cliffhanger, bit of a cheat, but it works. It's alright, it's fun.
If you watch the Fury from the Deep documentary, when they discuss the origin of the sonic screwdriver, they say, yes, this is the first scene that had the sonic screwdriver in it, and it's still being used today. They show that clip of the Doctor not using the sonic screwdriver to shoot the Cybermen.
Oh, yeah. I must say, as a kid, this whole idea of Pete being the informant, it went way over my head. Like it's almost just like dropped in. As a kid, it went way over my head. It just is this whole scene. I remember sort of tuning out because it is a bit of a dump.
Yeah.
I definitely think part 2 of this is it's your classic. Part 1 is the setup, and then part 2 is the action-packed kind of thrill ride.
Yeah. This could easily work as a 4-parter in classic Doctor Who, because, it reminds me of the structure of Earthshock. Part 1 and 2 is primarily set in the underground caves, part 3 and 4 on the freighter. Yeah.
To be honest, I mean, most of the 2-parters from around this time could work as a 4-parter, I think. I'm not sure about Aliens of London per se, because that doesn't really... maybe... I don't know. I don't know. That doesn't really have a mid-episode 1 hook. Maybe it does, the Slitheen reveal. I don't know.
Maybe, you could have the Doctor being... when those soldiers aim their gun at him when he's in the hospital.
Yeah, that could be cool.
I know Nick Briggs said he never felt satisfied with these Cybermen voices, because he felt, unlike the Daleks, he couldn't really emote with them.
No.
It's why in the next Doctor they sounded a bit more deeper.
Yeah, to be honest, I've never been a fan of these Cybermen. I like the design, but the voices have never really done it for me.
Mm-hmm.
Even like
I mean,
the
he
next
wanted
Doctor
to
stuff.
do. He wanted to do the sing-song voices from the 10th Planet. I mean,
Yeah,
he got it in Willed Enough in Time and the Doctor Falls, so
definitely.
that's good.
Yeah, I'm not really a fan of the Nightmare and Silver voices either because it's for me it's just too generic. It just sounds too much like generic robot voice.
Yeah, it just sounds a bit too harsh, the whole upgraded
Yeah, I
progress.
don't like those. Well, I don't like that design in general, but even the Series 12 ones, actually, I didn't really get the praise for them because for me it was sort of blatantly obvious that it was just the 2013 ones with like a new head and like
Yeah,
spikes stuck
true,
on them.
and
They were alright, but I didn't really. Yeah.
I think it's a nice upgrade because
Oh, I
they
prefer
do
them.
look
Yeah.
like a force to be reckoned with. They do look like warriors. I do wonder, are we going to get yet another design if they come
Oh,
back in the RTD2
I
era?
don't
Because
know.
the Daleks have had, aside from Victory of the Daleks, um, we've had the consistent bronze design for nearly 20 years now.
Yeah, and I think it's all but
Yeah.
confirmed that they're getting changed, right? Because it was rumor for a bit, and then so the other day I read the action figure special that DWM have just put out, and they mark the bronze Daleks in that as it's something like these Daleks debuted in 2005 and were used up until Jodie Whittaker's last episode. So it's almost like they
Ah.
mark a definitive end date. So it's almost like I think maybe that's all but confirmed. Then we're getting new designs because I feel like they wouldn't
Be nice
mark an
to
end date
have a new
otherwise.
one, I think.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love the Bronze Boys because
Some,
they've been pretty much the main iconic part of the show that has lasted the whole Revive series. But I do think it's time for an update.
just don't chicken out after one episode.
Yeah, honestly, I have to wonder sometimes where are those bloody Paradigm props? Because, fuck me, the amount of money they must have spent on them for now to be fucking like gathering dust in storage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I read a bit of that Doctor Who magazine action figure special.
Mm.
It said Paradigm Daleks unpopular with fans, but a collector's dream to have different coloured Daleks on their shelves.
But I mean, yeah, perfect for toy shops because they do stand out. I've got it is one of the great missed opportunities in Doctor Who that they never did that Eternal Dalek story because that sounded so cool, like the Yellow Daleks' whole backstory and everything.
Appearance was so brief at the Victory of the Daleks, the Orange Scientist Daleks. That is the only time it appears on TV.
Yeah, it sucks. It really sucks. And like, love or hate the design, they're not brilliant. They are a bit. Mostly the shape I don't love. The colours don't bother me. It's the shape, specifically the back end of it. I think is a bit
I
ugly.
think Diamanda Hagen said in their review, Bronze Dalek was a perfect Dalek design. Now you've made them look like Teletubbies that are drag queens. It looks like they have tits.
It's true, to be honest. But I just wish they would have like committed because they did look better in Asylum of the Daleks when they gave them that more kind of matte paint job, more muted. They looked better, and I just it sucks that they caved so quickly and they just didn't do anything with them.
I mean, I think it'd be cool if we got an every Cyberman design ever in one story.
Yeah, but do it properly, not like bloody Asylum of the Daleks, where they're just in the background.
You'll miss it, can you?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we kind of, but not really. We got a little buffet of old cyber designs in World Enough and Time, but
We did, yeah.
I think it's the more difficult with those because you'd have to like recreate all the. It's not like the Dalek props where they're a bit. You can probably still get them and restore them and stuff. The Cybermen suits are suits, so I guess it's more difficult to.
because I think particularly these ones, I call them the Pizza World Cybermen.
Yeah.
Think they are looking worn out now.
I'm not surprised. They've been around for 16 years, 17 years. I am not surprised.
I think it worked for a story like Ascension of the Cybermen because you've got the Cybermen trying to upgrade to a new design, so
Yeah.
having two of the old guard that don't look in the best condition
Yes. Yeah.
makes sense for the story.
The example I always think of is in the Doctor Falls. There's that one, it's this brilliant moment, and Capaldi's acting his heart out, where he's like, every single time you lose, I win, even on the moon. And then it cuts to that one shot of the one Cyberman, and his head's not screwed on right. He's marching like some weird chicken man. The costume's falling a bit, and it's just like... It's proper. This is still Doctor Who. You can throw as much money as you want at it, but it'll still look a bit naff. It just makes me laugh every time I watch it.
One thing I don't get: why does Mr. Crane suddenly turn on John Lumick?
Yeah, it's a bit.
It's completely out of nowhere.
They cut out the. I believe it's in deleted scenes. He has a bit more kind of moments of a kind of doubt about what he's doing. As it is in the show, there's one bit where the earpod starts affecting him and he's like, oh no you don't, but it's like, I'm sorry, you've got the earpod in, like you knew what was going to happen, this is on you.
Watch it.
Like,
yeah, you willfully collected homeless people to turn them into Cybermen, but now that he's doing it to the whole population, you're not going to rebel.
It's really weird.
It just feels so out of nowhere.
Because there's stuff I think you probably could have cut elsewhere in the episode, specifically later on with the action stuff, to fit that in, but it's also a shame. I think they cut the line about Ricky being Jake's boyfriend, but...
They did, yeah. I mean, they cut it because they felt like the story hadn't really done anything to establish that they were a couple.
Yeah, it's fair.
You get a Five Doctors reference here, above, between, below.
Yes, yeah. Very cool. What do you think of the CGI like background plates of the power station and stuff?
It's not too bad, yeah.
It's alright, it's okay.
They've taken Battersea Power Station, like stuck a CGI Zeppelin on it, haven't they?
Yeah. For me, like the worst offenders of CGI in this era is when it's like a landscape and a character's looking out, and it's like a live action character put on the CG landscape. That's always the worst stuff for me. So I'm thinking of like Utopia, where they're looking at the rocket. It's stuff like that. Stuff like that is always the worst offender.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I know we mentioned earlier about Series 1. Well, Series 1 to the 2009 specials are getting a new Blu-ray release. And I know, interestingly enough, I think it was Richard Bignell who said on Twitter, there's no plans currently to have any of the revived series part of the collection box set.
Yeah. I think people who work on those sets have said that they would like to do it, but
Chris Chapman said one of my dream documentaries is to make a feature-length documentary about how Russell T Davies brought Doctor Who back.
Oh yeah, it'd be great.
And to reunite those 5 writers of Series 1 and get them all in the same room again.
Yeah. To be honest with you, I would absolutely love it, but I think now that Russell's back in charge of the show, doing Series 1 with everything that went on, I feel like it'd almost be criminal to do a collection set of that now, because you just know that they wouldn't be able to be very candid about it, because it is still relatively recent, like all the drama that happened. So it's a shame. I would love it, but to be honest, it's funny with the Series 1 to 4 coming back to Blu-ray. because it kind of says to me they're really advertising it as like new, newly remastered and all of this, which says to me that they've put effort into the release. But I'm also like, however good it ends up being, the back of my mind will always be, I wonder what this would look like if the restoration team worked on it. Because they have said for a while, like the members of the restoration team have said, we would like to tackle specifically series 1 and 2 and spruce them up a bit. And they're not involved with this new remaster, so yeah, we'll see.
I know with I highly doubt Series 5 onwards would get, say, a new remaster, because they're all made and filmed in HD, so it's just unlikely, I think.
I agree. My dream for it is that they fix the speed issues of the current Blu-rays. They fix the text issues.
Too slow, or are they too fast?
Too slow. They're slowed down. And it was done because these Blu-rays were made for like international distribution, so it's done to like match frame rates of America and stuff, but it just means that it's too slow, and it's not a huge deal because when I'm watching it normally I don't notice it, but it would be nice for that to be fixed. And a few of the text issues, like in the Blu-ray of Voyage of the Damned, credits the director as James Hawes. It's actually James Strong, so it just credits the wrong director. Or it might be the other way around. Either way, it's the wrong James that's credited. So it's stuff like that, and just a few things need tidying up. But if those are done, brilliant, great. But it'll be disappointing if it's just kind of very similar to these.
Yeah, because if it's literally just these discs but put into a new packaging, I'm just like, nah, don't bother.
I don't think it will be, because they are advertising it as newly remastered and stuff. They're being very vague with what they actually mean by that, and I'm a bit like, okay,
these transfers that we're watching, they were done in 2013, am I right?
They were done in 2013, yeah, and they were made for international audiences, which is why they're slowed down.
I think they were first released on Blu-ray, obviously, it was celebrating, the 50th anniversary of the show. Yeah. And there was also that series 1 to 7 box set that you could buy. Yeah,
that was like 200 quid and stayed that price for years. It was like massively expensive.
Back a copy of it, because I think, I could be wrong, but I think it's like one of the most viewed videos on his channel or something like that.
Yeah. It's a good video. But yeah, and I think with these transfers as well, they didn't correct things like in Time Crash. It's not Time Crash, sorry, Born Again, the Children in Need special. That's been messed up on, like, since the DVD release. It's been an early edit, and it's missing sound effects and visual effects.
The sound for the Next Doctor is different as well, because I remember watching on TV the scene where the Cybermen chase them in the house. More music has been added. Apparently, when the Doctor checks Jackson Lake's heart, you can just hear one heartbeat. I think RTD said in The Confidential, said originally you were going to hear a heartbeat, but I decided to change it because I felt it gave it away too early. So if you watch it for the first time on Blu-ray, it just gives it away. Oh, it's not the Doctor.
That's it. Yeah, and there's loads. There's like the credits for all the specials have been redone, and they're wrong. There's just lots of little things with these transfers that I can live with. Like, I definitely am not like, these need to be recalled. They're awful. But there's room for improvement, and I just hope that this new series 1 to 4 set corrects those mistakes, and because it'd just be nice to have like a definitive, no issues, like spruced up nicely presentation of these. And like the audio mix is the big one with these, because like I just spoke about how loud certain sound effects are versus the dialogue. It'd be nice to see that fixed, and there's just a few things really, but
because picture quality, I do think they look really good.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. They're an upgrade over the DVD.
Definitely, yeah. And Just because looking at this now with them in the tunnels, it's a gorgeously directed
It really
scene,
is.
and obviously a reference to Tomb of the Cybermen with them put on ice and things like that.
Yeah, 100%. It's really like the area of walking through that pitch black tunnel with the cyber suits is very freaky. It's really cool.
Mhm. Funny about David Tennant as the Doctor, because his first two episodes are quite odd. I mean, I like Christmas Invasion. I'm not a fan of New Earth, but I find it odd how for the first two-thirds of Christmas Invasion, you put your lead actor in bed, and then for New Earth, you have him do body swapping.
Yeah,
It just seems a bit odd to
it's
me.
bizarre.
He's not. If you think about it, his first proper full go is Tooth and Claw, and he's great in that.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because I quite like the fact that they make you wait for him in the Christmas Invasion, specifically because like Rose is like the main character of series 1, and I think guiding the audience through this change from her perspective, like, how do I know this is the same person? He won't wake up. He's not giving me any information. I think that's really good and clever, and I like that a lot. And when he finally does show up, it's really like, oh yeah, this is cool. New Earth, though, it's really odd. That is a strange episode. It's just, yeah, like you say, it's just weird that this is your first proper adventure with the new Doctor, and he's being forced to do the body swap shenanigans, and I think if it was just later in the series it wouldn't be a problem, but it's just like this is like the first impression of him in a real story, and he does it well. It's just one of those things where it's like, this is really weird, and I know Tooth and Claw, it was meant to be first, I think, like,
Really?
in the scripting stage that was going to be first, but it was decided that it was just...
Oh, that would be great.
Yeah, there was just something... I can't remember what happened. I know Tooth and Claw was written in a very hurried state because it was like a drunken weekend for RTD. But it's...
Yeah, because this was originally going to be episodes 4 and 5.
That's it, yeah. Yeah, and it's... Something happened... I don't know whether it was decided it was a bit too dark for a series opener. That might have been it. But yeah, I saw somebody did an edit on Twitter the other day that was like, okay, what if New Tooth and Claw was the opener, and they put the pre-title sequence of New Earth over Tooth and Claw, so it's like when Rose is leaving the Powell estate, and they do the whole further than we've ever gone before and all that, and yeah, it was interesting to see like
Actually,
what could have
that
been.
could work, because it's the Doctor promising we're going further than we've ever gone before. Oh no, we've just gone back
Scotland.
just over 100 years.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny, Series 2, like any other TV series, second series, it did establish quite a lot, because
Yeah.
with Tooth and Claw and School Reunion, more or less get 2 spin-offs set one after the other. Tooth and Claw, it's Torchwood. Then School Reunion, it's the Sarah Jane Adventures.
Yeah, no, it's very. This series is very ambitious, and like it was one of my big kind of surprises. It was like, oh, I actually really, really enjoyed Series 2. Watch it, and I've never disliked it. It's just always been the weakest of this era for me. But it's a solid run. It doesn't always hit, but it gets a lot of points for ambition, and yeah, it's solid stuff mostly, and it's I like the tone of it, and it's good. And like you say, it sets up a lot, and it has big repercussions for the future of the show. So, like, you can see why that this is, because I think when people think of like the golden age of modern Doctor Who, it's Series 4 they think of, but you can also see why if you like an equal amount of people would say, oh yeah, I liked it when it was David Tennant and Billy Piper as well. Like you can see why Rose is still kind of a popular figure in the mainstream.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think I don't know if we may have spoken about this before. Do you think she'll be back in the 60th, Rose?
Would not surprise me, to be honest, given that we've got Donna. Well, there's rumours that they've got Matt Smith back for the 60th.
Yeah, which... Oh, I would love that. Even if it's just a small cameo.
Would not surprise me if they've got classic Doctors, because when I went to LFCC, they did warn us about... don't record anything, because you know what Sylvester can be like.
This is the thing, like... Obviously, David Tennant's leading the charge, and that's all fine, but it would not surprise me that if there are appearances from others. And I'm not getting my hopes up for it. I'm not, like... but it wouldn't surprise me.
As Instagram, RTD put the penguin emoji.
Yeah,
it's gotta be Frobisher.
Yeah, well, I mean, a few years ago I said you would have been mad, but we're getting bloody beat the meep. So, anything can happen at this point. And Neil Patrick Harris is definitely not playing the Toymaker. Definitely not.
Oh yeah.
Because I'm getting my predictions in now. I really like the idea of almost doing a meta thing of like the Toymaker manipulating events so that Doctor Who goes back to the way it was when it was popular, according to him. Like he's almost manipulating events, which is why David Tennant's back.
Cool if you've got a scene where he says, I manipulated your regeneration, Doctor, to make you into a model I liked. I restored your companion's memories so we can have the perfect Doctor-companion relationship.
It'd be so good. It'd be a great little like meta commentary on like the dangers of not moving on, and I'd love it if they. I would love it if they did that. Because
I'm not going to ask Russell to rewrite his end of time ending, but it will be a reaction against that. Maybe it'll be him admitting, okay, maybe it is time for this version of the Doctor to say it's all right to go.
Yeah, and that would be great. That would be a really nice, payoff. And it's. I'm intrigued to see what they do with it, because I know it is getting a lot of stick at the minute because people are saying it is just celebrating his era and stuff. But wait and see, because there might be other stuff. I'm very much in like wait and see mode before we judge it, because knowing Russell, he's got a lot of stuff. I mean, we've not seen anything of the second one. Like we've seen no footage of that. We've only seen footage from episodes 1 and 3, which I think is fascinating.
Okay.
So yeah.
Did they sneak up like that?
Yeah, they had their boots on silent.
Yeah, that's a joke in the next Doctor, which doesn't make any sense.
No, it's just lampshading.
If he was joking, fair enough. But if they've actually got a silent mode, why don't they use it all the time?
Yeah, I will say I think these scenes of Jake and Mickey on the blimp, on the Zeppelin, do kind of drag a little bit, just a bit, not a huge amount, but like I think you could have trimmed some of this stuff of like, oh, how can we do this, how can we do that, to get some of that stuff with Mr. Crane in, but.
And what's interesting about this story is that. It's more of a doomsday thing, but this is this led to the closest we got to Terrance Dicks writing for the new series, because he wrote a short story called Made of Steel, and it was a sequel to Doomsday where the last of the Cybermen tried to open the void again to bring them all back. Yeah. It ends up going wrong, and it amazes me that Terrance Dicks' only go at the new series wasn't an original story he thought of. It was just like, oh, write a sequel to this two-parter.
Yeah, it's kind of, and I can't imagine him writing it at all. Like it's yeah.
Also, he famously said he never liked the Cybermen. He thought they were boring.
Yeah, it's really weird.
So maybe he was... I don't know if he was commissioned to do it.
Yeah, maybe.
Was just given the story, because I can't really see him saying, "Oh, you know what we need right now? A sequel to the series 2 finale." It's been in my head for ages, and we need to get it out there. So, would not surprise me if the publishers were like, "We need this story to have this, that, and the other."
Because it was one of those easy readers range, wasn't it? It was like a
That's it. Yeah, it was
young readers or something.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that shot of the Cyberman turning around at the end of the coming soon trailer at the Christmas Invasion. It's so cool.
Yeah, the clip before that was the Doctor saying bullets can't stop it, and you think it's referring to the Cyberman.
It's a great reveal. It's a really great, there's such a... This era, the trailers that were end of the Christmas specials were always, just so exciting. Like, the Series 4 one at the end of Voyage of the Damned, I remember that, just watching that over and over again.
Oh, me too.
Just the music, and when it's got the vicar going, "This certainly has been the most entertaining evening," and then it goes into the theme. I was just like, it's so cool. I love it. It's cool that they kept the motif from Tomb of the Cybermen, having the brain, or having something that looks like the brain exposed. Obviously, it's just veiny in Tomb of the Cybermen, but this is like the actual brain, which is pretty cool. Yeah, I always question that as well. What the hell is that thing? Well, I mean, on that crappy looking monitor, it just looks like a Cyberman sat in a chair. I'm not... it's not that
yeah,
exactly.
To be honest.
It is also...
Oh God, I've joked about this. I've joked about this before, but when you realise the Age of Steel took its climax from Revenge of the Sith and Chicken Run.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, the Age of Steel, he rips himself out the throne and goes, "No!"
Yeah.
Like Darth Vader. And Chicken Run, he's hanging from a fucking rope. like Mrs. Tweedy is. And then gets cut off. Falls into an explosion.
This is like the classic. I think every generation has their own version of this speech. So we've got like the Hartnell one in the 10th Planet, where it's like love, pride, hate, fear. Are you no emotions, sir? We've got the Davison one, where he goes on about eating a well prepared meal. Yeah, that's it. And then you got this one, which is like Tennant's version. I think every kind of generation has their own version of this similar speech. So yeah, it's cool. Also, we've got the classic David Tennant thing. Voice. Yeah, go on, sorry.
I do like the voice Nick Briggs does for the Cyber Controller.
Yeah.
And I think Graham Harp even said maybe you should do that voice for all the Cybermen, but he thought, no, I think it just should be distinct for the Cyber Controller.
Yeah, well, the thing about the controller is, of course, it does still sound like John Lumick, the mannerisms.
It does.
It's got enough of Lumick in there, which is pretty cool. But yeah, we've got the classic David Tennant thing where when he's happy, he shows his top teeth, and when he's angry, he shows his bottom teeth. So yeah, it's one of those that somebody pointed it out, and I can never unsee it. It's like whenever the 10th Doctor is angry, his bottom teeth come out.
The end of Power of the Doctor, when he regenerates into 14, apparently the line, "I know those teeth." Apparently that was David's idea.
Oh really? Yeah,
to say that.
I can imagine that. It works as a parallel to the 10th Doctor's new teeth. That's weird.
I mean, what he should have said is, "Oh my God, it's grown back."
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. It's a kind of modern series tradition that the Doctor always comments on, like their change in body parts, but you couldn't really do that with Jodie because it's quite obvious what's changed.
Way too obvious, yeah.
It's a cool shot as well of seeing it in the mirror or the reflection. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And there's a shot here of a Cyberman. He just looks like he's chilling, like. The one
I've never noticed that before. He really is. He's got his arm leaning. That's so good.
He's just like, what's up?
Oh, so this is what I was talking about in the last commentary we did for Greatest Show.
So yeah, that's reused from Rose, I think.
It's the reused model shots from Rose. It's the same explosion. Yeah. It's this story I was thinking of. Because you can tell as well, because it's shot on film and it's a little bit kind of... Yeah, it just looks different.
I love the theme Murray Gold makes for the Cybermen.
Oh, I love it.
It's great.
Yeah, it's real nostalgia for me, because I remember going around the Doctor Who exhibition in Cardiff, and the in the Cyberman section, it would just on a loop be like like, and I just it's so ingrained into my brain walking around the Cyberman section of that exhibition and seeing like. They had like the Cyberman suits there, and then they had a thing where you could press a button and it would move, and they had a thing where you could stand by the Cyberman and try and do the walking thing. It was just so good.
I remember there being a museum in Manchester, and I went like autumn 2007, and the exhibit for the Ood had a huge sign saying, "Unfortunately, the Ood costumes are not here as they're being used in the upcoming series of Doctor Who."
Ah, very good. I like that. No, it's. I might make a video about the Cardiff exhibition one day, because that was such a big part of my intro to Doctor Who, like walking around that place.
I cannot believe I only ever went once, and that was in 2012, the Doctor Who Experience.
Yeah, the Experience. Oh, I miss the Experience so much.
Yeah.
It's just...
It closed like 2017 or something like that, and people thought... I remember people like saying, "Oh, this is the death of Doctor Who, they're closing the Experience." And I'm like, it's nothing to do with the quality of the show. Yeah. It was literally like they had a contract for 5 years to be there, something like that, and it's just up.
The contract, the council didn't renew the lease, which is... Oh, it was so stupid of them, because the amount of tourism that pulled in. Like, you had... And you still have it now. You drive up to Cardiff, all the signs, the road signs, they've got little Daleks on them, and they're still there now. And it's like, it sucks that and they were there for years because of the old exhibition that was there before the Experience that I was talking about. And it just sucks that there's nothing there for it now, and it's such a shame. But fun fact, by the way, the Cardiff exhibition in the Red Dragon Centre, you can see a big poster for it in the background of the first episode of Torchwood.
Yeah, it's
like as Gwen drives up to the hub, there's just an advert for Doctor Who up close, which is what it's called, and you can see the surfboard logo, and it's clear as day, like it's not hidden, which is very funny. The Cyberman falling into the explosion looks pretty damn good, actually. It's held up quite well.
Should have happened. He should have fallen into the factory. He should have had Mr. Crane come up and said, "I told you they was organised." If you're going to reference Chicken Run, at least go the whole way.
I like that. So what happens inside that thing then? Well, judging by Fear Her, shagging. Judging by how happy-go-lucky they are and giggly with themselves in Fear Her, they were up to no good in that box. As were 13 and Yaz, that fucking mattress at the start of Flux. We all know what that was there for. We all know what that was there for.
And tell Ian and Barbara were as well.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Well, actually, it's funny about Ian and Barbara because I stated to be a couple in the TV series, even though the hints were there. But if you watch Doctor Who and the Daleks, the first movie, they're written specifically to be a couple.
They're properly together, aren't they? Yeah. Yeah, because he comes home and has to try and impress Doctor Who. Like, it's really weird.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Doctor Who movies do exist within this universe, but as fictional in-universe movies, according to Stephen Moffat.
It was in the Day of the Doctor novel, wasn't it? The novelisation.
It is, yeah.
I like that. That's cool. And I first saw those films for the first time last year in the cinemas. I'd never seen them before, and for years it was like a big hole in my in my kind of viewing of Doctor Who. Like, I just never watched them, so yeah, it was cool to see him in the cinema back to back and kind of finally tick him off.
Mm-hmm.
This is
not mentioned him at all, and we're about to come to the end. The writer Tom McRae.
Yeah.
His Doctor Who CV is quite interesting because he's got this and The Girl Who Waited, which, in my opinion, is the best story of Series 6.
It's great. It's really good. Yeah.
And it's a shame he didn't. It's a shame he hasn't written more since.
I agree. To be honest, I think the reason we've not mentioned it is because it just feels like a Russell T Davies script. A lot of it, and obviously we know that Russell rewrote a lot of his stuff.
Yeah, but apparently the Impossible Planet Satan Pit 2-parter, a lot of that was him.
Yeah, to the point I heard recently that it was like it's barely Matt Jones's work on screen now. Like it's and that's probably might be a reason why he's never come back. But like it's interesting.
Matt Jones did do an episode of Torchwood. I do know.
He did, yeah. Was that in series 2?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember which one that was, but yeah, it is interesting. He had a big hand in it, but do you know what? I think this departure is actually handled really well, and I always forget about the scene right at the end of this where they come back to proper Jackie, like our universe Jackie. Because it's really well done, actually, and very well performed. Yeah, I just always forget about it.
Mm-hmm. How talented was Murray Gold to give each companion their own theme?
Yeah, oh god. Do you know what? Like, I really liked a lot of what Sagan Akinola did for the show, but I've got to say, when they announced Murray Gold was coming back, I was very happy because I love his music, and it's this year especially it has been like on my Spotify like regular rotation of Murray Gold stuff. I just think
apart from Series 10, you can't have that.
Yeah, apart from that, which is a shame because I think there's some really good stuff. Like Bill's theme, I love. And but didn't he say like it will happen one day, it will happen? He has said that recently in an interview with Doctor Who magazine.
Yeah, I've no idea what the issue is, because I don't know, it's not like there's issues with Chris Chibnall or Sagan Akinola preventing him from releasing it.
If I had to guess, if I really had to guess, because he has to sign off on the tracks and everything, and I think the tracks have to be, recorded for the soundtrack, and like what probably happened was as he was leaving the show, it was just one of those things that got lost in the shuffle and just never happened. Because it took Series 9 took years to come out. Series 9 came out in 2018, I think. The soundtrack for that,
wow.
And that's years after it finished airing. So yeah. But I'm very excited to see what he's creating for it, and like Rose's theme I think is but I've got again, whatever your thoughts on the Rose character, like the music and the way Billie Piper, like her acting, fair play, like you can see why it just she just worked her way into the hearts of people with this whole family unit, and yeah. Now, there is a sequel to this, but you can't play it anymore. Remember the old BBC Flash games?
Oh yeah, the Dave Cyber Paris.
Yeah, it was it was like Mickey and
the amount of times I had to keep my finger pressed on the up button to keep that Zeppelin in the air so it didn't smash.
It really sucked, actually.
So weird when
go on.
The Zeppelin got destroyed. You just had awful AI speech saying like, so close.
Yeah, I know.
What
do you know what? I tried to play some of those games recently, and it really sucks that you just can't now, because of Flash going away and stuff. It's a shame that they're lost to time.
Yeah, honest. I'm amazed with Series 2 they were able to do a tie-in game every week.
I know, yeah. It was a great...
That's insane.
Great tie. My favourite one came out during Series 3. It was Eye of the TARDIS. And it's like a platformer thing. I used to play that so much. But...
I'm sure... Did you have to, land on villains? And for some reason, you'd get a point, but you'd hear the Doctor say, "I'm sorry, I'm so sorry."
So, yeah, because it sounds like he was he was stamping on people and going, "I'm sorry," killing people. It sounded mad.
I can understand if it meant you got defeated, but you just won. So what's the problem?
It's funny. But yeah, that was Rise of the Cybermen and the Age of Steel. It's a solid one, I think.
Honestly, it's a really good reimagining of the Cybermen. It got me into Doctor Who, and I cannot blame it for that, ever.
Yeah, there you go. And I think it's a bit underrated. It's not one of my favourites from this era, but it's a really solid two-parter.
It is. Yeah.
There's great stuff in there, and I do think it deserves a bit more love, to be honest, because I think this sometimes gets a bad rap. But yeah. Speaking of bad raps, what are we going to be doing next time?
Next time we're going to be skipping forward to Series 3 and doing your first story, which was
Daleks in Manhattan and the evolution of the Daleks. So get your dodgy American accents ready. Because we're going to be looking at that one, and that's going to be quite an interesting one, because I think that really does, it's one of those ones that I can't quite defend, but it was my first, so I can't, so yeah, this should be a very interesting one. So yeah, look forward to that next time. In the meantime, go subscribe to Isaac's channel and follow us both on X and Instagram and all over the place. We'll be back with another commentary next time. So, see you later.
Bye-bye.